everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Welcome, my favorite co-host, Jen Fontanilla.
Hello. And my favorite, Dr. Summer Watson.
Woohoo! I'm here with my favorite money coach. We have so much to talk about today. We took a little hiatus because of the holiday. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for submitting your questions. We've got some really great questions for you today that we're going to answer. So check it out. You ready to get started, Jen?
Yes, I'm so ready. First off, you guys, hit the share button if you're joining us again. And when we're talking, if you can hearts, likes, all that stuff, we would love to appreciate it. But I missed you all. I'm going to tell you, it threw me off. I'll be honest. It threw me off. I missed Summer. I was like messaging her, like, I miss our show. Like, we were talking about that too, how routine, when it's not happening, like the gym and all kinds, routine can throw you off, which is such an interesting thing because it really is a testament of why it's important to have a routine.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
So happy to be back with you. Thank you.
Yes, we're happy to be back with you. We love the show. We love doing the show. And we also want you to submit your questions. Submit your questions to the Life, Love, and Money Show with Jen and Summer. You can submit your questions to our personal accounts. If you're friends on here, you can submit your questions to the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen on our Facebook page. You can go to our YouTube page and submit but make sure you tell your friends because there's some really great content here. If you didn't get the opportunity to check out this live show, go to our YouTube page. And our YouTube page, you can find all the replays. And all the episodes. So let's get right to this, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So the first question is for Jen. It says, I have multiple credit cards. I feel like I'm drowning in monthly payments and I'm not getting anywhere with paying them off. Help. I need to know the best way to pay them off. Jen, on to you.
This is such a great question because a lot of times when people come to me for help, it's usually about mostly two things. It's usually I need to get organized. And then the other issue is, oh my goodness, there's a lot of debt. What do I do? And so thank you for submitting this question. And the thing is, at the end of the day, the most important thing to do is to get organized and to just stop and lay everything on the table. And what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is, like, we need to know where we're starting from. For example, like, all of us have planned a trip, whether it's going to Vegas or a girls' night, whatever it is. You always have to know where you're starting from. Think about it. Let's say you're going out. You're like, okay, where are we meeting? What you all wearing? Right? I know you've done that. You have to know where you're starting from in order to know where to go. So especially when you're putting in, coordinates or not, you don't put the coordinates, but you put in like your location, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're not Magellan. And so, you have to put in where, okay, I'm starting from my home and this is where I'm going. So no different when it comes to your debt. You have to be organized because sometimes when I ask clients, okay, what's your balance? I don't know. Well, how much are you paying on the Visa? I'm not sure. And you cannot say that. So what I'm urging you to do is get organized, print your statement out for all the cards, all the loans, whatever, just the basic one, the page that tells you the basic information. And what you need to do is you need to create some simple columns. I don't even care if you use a piece of paper and a pencil. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to use a budgeting app. I just want you to get organized. And so these are the things I want you to list out. You want to list the creditor or whoever the loan is with. So whether it's Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, whatever it is, Stafford Loan, whoever, write those lists, write that out. Okay. So the first one is who the creditor is. The second one is the balance. The balance is the money that you owe that company, the creditor, whoever it is. Okay. So creditor, then balance. The next column is the interest rate. You need to know how much is the interest rate that you're being charged. A lot of times you don't even know. And so again, this is important because when I go on to the next stuff, you're going to see where this comes into play. Like, why do you even know? And it's good for you to know anyways. And then the next thing is the minimum payment. Every card, every loan, because you always have the option to send extra. If you didn't know that, you have the option to send extra. And we're going to talk about more about what, I had some extra $20. I'm going to do here. Right. You need to know what your minimum payments are, what your responsibility is every single month. And so you're going to list it. So quick recap: the creditor, the balance, the interest rate, and then the minimum payment. So you have to start with that organization of the information in order to move to the next step.
Yeah. And here I am. I'm listing all these great tips here in the comments. So hopefully they're coming up for you guys, because there are some magnificent tips in regards to getting strategic and organized about how to pay off these debts.
Yes, exactly. So when you get organized and when you see all that information right in front of you, the next thing is, I want to tell you, there are two major ways to tackle this debt. And there are two different strategies. And so I want to also add that sometimes people are, well, which one's better? At the end of the day, what I always say is that the one that's better is the one that you're going to stick with and use. A lot of times you get so much information, so much stuff is getting thrown at you. I mean, especially if you're all up in like Facebook and Instagram, like how many ads you're inundated with. There is so much information coming at us. And so it's really important to understand, like, when you come to your, sit down and you're asked yourself, well, which one should I do? I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of each method, and then you have to judge for yourself which one is going to help you best. So the first one, there's two that I'm going to talk about, and then I have a bonus option.
I'm going to cut in here really quickly.
Oh, please, yes.
Really quickly, because she's going to talk about some amazing things here. And it's always like, for me, it's like this. You have a bunch of people telling you like, oh my gosh, this is a great book. That's a great book. This is a great book. There's so many great things about how we can learn, and options are always welcomed. For me, I'm a big options girl. Give me some options, otherwise I'm going to feel a little trapped. Here's the thing with this. Jen's given some options. So utilize what you're actually going to use, that you're actually going to put into place. That is going to help you strategize your debt. Because seriously, if you're not, it's like that diet.
You mean the one that you don't do past 2 days?
That's the night.
And then how many times do you think, I'm gonna start tomorrow? I'm gonna start after this party. I'm gonna start the next day. Yeah.
So please.
I've done it. I say that like I'm like, okay, how many times have I said every freaking Monday? Next Monday.
Or the workout, or the eating pattern, or the what. But this is, I love this because you're giving options, and this is so important. Use something you're actually going to put into place, that you're actually going to consistently use. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm just cracking up especially because Thanksgiving just happened. I'm thinking like, man, how many times? So you know how it starts Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
Okay, after Wednesday. After Thursday, and my brother was down here, and every time my brother visits, he brings like the death of any health goals, right? Like, and a real quick sidebar, he has this best friend who works at a bakery, and it's like, oh god, when my brother visits, it's like, okay, expect to gain weight. It's a running joke now, and he's like, I look like a bunch of gremlins attacked the box of bakery goods. Like, well, yeah, I don't have this kind of stuff in the kitchen every day, so that's an opportunity. So anyways, let's get back to the debt. So the first strategy is the avalanche method, and that's also known as debt stacking. And so basically, avalanche method is when you are attacking the highest interest rate in terms of, like, remember I told you to organize the information, right? This is why you have to do that first, because you're not going to know how to organize this if you don't do that first step about planning everything out and organizing it. So you are going to look at which card has the highest interest rate, and then you're going to attack that first, and then you're going to work your way down to the one that has the lowest interest rate. Okay, so how do we do this? So basically, again, everything I told you to list out, there is a method to the madness. And so when you pay, the minimum payments, because I told you to list that out. You're going to know what the minimum payment for each one is. And then here's the thing. Sometimes people will say like, well, I had some extra $20 here. I threw some to the Macy's card. I threw an extra $20 to the Target card. And what is happening is that it's this haphazard like planning. I don't even want to use that word, but there's no strategy behind it. And so that actually hurts you. And so all that extra money that you have, you want to take that extra, I don't care if it's 20 bucks. You want to take that extra and put it towards the card that has the highest interest rate. So let's just make it easy. Let's say every card has a minimum payment of $50, and then you have an extra $50 that you were just kind of scattering. Like, I'm gonna send an extra 5 here, an extra 10 here, an extra 30 here, and so forth and so on. Any extra, you're gonna attach it to the payment or the minimum payment to the one that has the highest interest. Okay. So again, you're paying the extra towards the card that has the highest interest rate, and then all the other ones maintain the minimum payment. And so you continue to do that. So until the card, the first one that has the highest interest rate, you're going to eventually pay that one off, and then it's going to free up that money. When I say free up, meaning like you're not paying that card anymore. So whatever that dollar amount that you were paying, that the minimum payment plus the extra that you have that extra. Now here's the problem. We see this, oh, I'm not making this payment to the Target card anymore. It psychologically makes us feel like I have this extra money.
Right.
But no, you have to stay disciplined. That extra money has to go to the next card. Yeah. And so now you're working your way down to the second card. And so when that one gets paid off, you apply that extra money to the next one. So this is why it's called debt stacking.
Yeah.
So keep continuing. So, but Summer, I want you to share what you went through in college.
Okay.
Something similar.
Okay. So when I went to college, I was paying for my own college, and I also wanted to be part of a sorority. I worked full time. I did all, but I still wanted a life. So there were all these credit card companies out in front of the student union. I don't even know if that's legal anymore. I don't know if they allow.
No, I heard of it. Thank God in 2009.
Yeah, thank goodness. Because they used to sit out there in front of the student union and offer these great things. Like, it was more than like a water bottle. It was like, here's 2 flights to go to.
Well, you went to Berkeley, so you probably had better perks. I just went to UC Riverside. That's probably why I didn't have the perks.
Come on. So they were out there, and I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for this. Okay, I'll sign up for that. I'll sign up for that. I think I came out of there with 3 or 4 credit cards. Okay. And so I thought, oh, I'll just use this. I'll just use this to buy a dinner, or I'll use this to pay my fee to park my car, behind my house, my sorority house. I'll do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, that debt started increasing. After I graduated, yeah, I achieved a goal. I got my degree, but now I've got all this debt. Not only do I have potential school loans, but now I have credit card debt. And I'm looking at this going, holy crap. And it wasn't until later on that I was like, gosh, you know what? I feel like I'm kind of drowning in this credit card stuff. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get out of this? So I actually took the largest credit card, the smallest credit card. And I started doing what you said, Jen. Yeah. I started listing everything out. And I took the smallest amount on one of the credit cards, and I started paying that small amount off first. Boom, I could check that off. So that's kind of how I did it. So let's get to talking about your second approach.
Yes. So before I mention that, yeah. I want to think the pros and cons. So the pros of doing Avalanche is that overall, because you're using the strategy of attacking the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, is that overall you're going to tend to save more money. And when I say save more money, I'm talking about in interest. So that's a great thing. However, the con side to it is that it could feel like, oh my gosh, this is not going anywhere. And that's not a motivating feeling. And so if that's the person that you tend to be, if you are more motivated by a psychological feeling of like, okay, I'm making some progress. And because let's be real, it's no, right? Because we were using the working out analogy. Imagine like, you're working out, you're going to the gym, or you're doing the YouTube, whatever, some program you bought, and then you're like, great, it moved like 0.5 pounds.
Right.
But you're not thinking about the long-term effects that you're creating, right? You're just so focused on like, I just lost 0.5 pounds within freaking 2 weeks.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And if you're that person, then you might be that person that might want that extra motivation.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, again, like I said, it's not one is better than the other. It's what's gonna work for you. Why are you laughing?
Because I was like, that's me. I want the next option.
Right? Okay. So the next option for people like Summer is the snowball method. And basically, as opposed to the avalanche method where we were using highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, the snowball method is taking the highest balance to lowest balance. Okay, so one is interest, snowball is doing highest balance to lowest balance. And so it's the same idea. You're going to reorder, put in a different order, like the highest balance. And that way you can see, okay, same thing. You're going to pay the minimums, and any extra that you have, you're going to apply it to the one card that has the highest balance, and you're going to pay the minimum on all the other cards. And so, this is why, again, it's so important for you to get organized. It's so important for you to understand where you are starting from. A lot of times I've noticed that people are not even aware of their interest rates, their balances, and that's a problem. And I have to stress, get organized, because you can't fix your situation if you don't stare at it straight on and figure out, like, okay, how am I going to do this? And especially if you don't intentionally make time in your schedule to do it, because a lot of times this is what I've seen too. Oh crap, like, or oh ish, like this is due tomorrow. I gotta just send something, or you do it late.
Yeah.
And if you're finding that you're doing that constantly, you have to just sit down and be like, okay, this is nuts. I can't do this anymore. You have to, you got to get on it.
Yeah.
I want you to be encouraged to set the intention that for 2021, you're going to be on top of your money, that you're going to understand, like, when there is something due, ahead of time. This is not like, oh, ish, like this was due, like I need to send the money real quick. And then it's like, it's stressful. You don't want to do it that way. And you need to be organized. So promise me, and put in the comments below, especially if hashtag replay, if this is something that you want to get better at, type in like, I want to be better, something like that, because you have to be organized and know what's going on with your money in order for you to make these improvements. So with that said, if you know at the highest the highest balance, you're going to attack that first. And the same thing, once that card is paid off, you take that money, those funds, and apply it to the next card, and you work your way down. So let's talk about the pros and cons. So the pro is that if you have small debts to pay, this could be great, because you're going to see faster that, oh, this got paid off, that Target, that Macy's card. And I'm thinking of like all these examples I've seen in the past, like the Best Buy, and like, and here's the thing too, it's like these cards that you get at the store, be very careful, because I know, especially now with shopping and everything, you hear these offers like, hey, would you like to apply for a blank store card and get 30% off your purchases today? Very easily you might want to say yes, but be careful, because if you have not caught our other episodes, go to our YouTube channel, Life, Love, and Money Show. And there are other episodes where we talk about, credit card utilization and how that affects your score. So, the good thing about the snowball method is that it gives you that motivation to feel that the card is getting paid off. But the downside is it could, you end up paying more, because unlike the avalanche method, you are saving because of the interest rate. And this one is more of a psychological feeling that I'm making progress. So again, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of like which one you're going to use. And then I'm going to just add a bonus real quick, is that there is the option to do a balance transfer. And basically what the balance transfer is that you might see these credit card offers where you can apply for a new card. It'll be typically a 0% interest introductory rate, but you have to pay attention to how long that 0% interest rate stays there. And you have to be aware of the fee. Typically it's 5. And so you have to also do the assessment of like, okay, if I have 6 months, am I going to be able to pay this off? Because it will jump up to the real rates after that introductory period. And you have to make an assessment, is the percentage of what you're going to pay worth it? So for example, if your balance is 1,000 and you're transferring it to this new card, doing a balance transfer, and it's 5%, you're going to pay a $50 fee. Okay. And it could be worth it. Again, this is why it's so critical to plan. You have to know, and I'm not trying to encourage you to open up a new credit card, but if you can use this thing strategically, it could totally help you in getting down that debt, because you're not going to be wasting a lot of money going towards all this interest. So with that said, I hope this helps. Again, you got the avalanche method, you got the snowball method, and then you have the option to do a balance transfer. So Summer, what is the next question?
Okay, well, before we get to that next question, such great information. But here's the thing. I want to ask you something. That second method, do you start with your highest balance or your lowest balance? Because I started with my lowest balance and then started checking things off.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
It's the lowest balance, then work your way to the highest.
Okay.
Yes, the lowest. So it's the opposite of the avalanche.
And which I loved, the snowball, right? So, and I love that because you could take those little bills like your Macy's card, your Target card, that might be less than your Visa, your MasterCard, your Amex, your Discover. Well, Amex is every month. You have to pay that out. Your Discover. Yeah. So it's like you could take the smaller cards and pay them off pretty quickly using that strategic method, which I absolutely love. So yeah, let's jump. Thank you so much, Jen, for your.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And thank you for making that correction. You're absolutely right. So guys, again, snowball, lowest balance, and then work your way down to the highest balance, because those little cards, especially those little tiny balances, those ones that kind of like, it's like that little gnat flying around you that you just want to get rid of. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because then you're motivated once that thing is gone and out of your face.
Absolutely. I love all this information. So great. This is about financial health and your overall health and well-being. So, this really helps contribute to really just how we can jump into the new year. And seriously, I take a notebook like this. I take a notebook and I do exactly that. I write out, I have written out, I've typed out, I print those things out every month, and I have 2 pay periods for myself. And you can schedule your pay periods, but I like to understand and be familiar with my money. So it's like, and where that stuff is going, because you could schedule payments, but I don't do that. But anyway, we all have our own methods.
Again, I'm so glad you said that, because here's the thing. If some people will tweak something here and there.
Yeah.
The point is, if you do it,
right,
that is the most important thing, that you get it done. And so it's okay if you need to tweak things to accommodate the way that you handle things. That's fine, as long as you're getting it done.
Okay. So thank you so much. I am getting it done. I do my payments online and it works out. So yes, remember that. These are options for you. All right. Next question. Boy, I have a couple of minutes and I got to race through this one. So the next question is, I absolutely adore my grandmother, but there's one big issue that always gets in the way of that, and that is politics. She's ultra conservative, and I'm more of the middle of the road kind of girl. When she starts talking about her political views, I feel it's time to end the visit. I don't want to feel this way, but some of her views seem rather antiquated. Help. So, all right. Woo! This is a big one.
It is.
Woo! Okay, so really, it used to be the adage was, oh, don't talk politics and money at the dinner table, right? Because you can just imagine what that dinner table would look like. Everybody's going to get up, slamming cups. Oh my gosh, right? So you can talk about politics. You can have different values and opinions. But here's the thing, and here's the biggest tip. It's being aware. It's being aware of your audience. So it's your grandmother. It's your significant other. It's your best friend. It's the people that you work with. Be familiar. Be familiar with your audience. Okay. And then know that you're not going to change. You're not going to change. If you go into a conversation thinking that you're going to change the way that these people perceive things or their values or the beliefs, what's going to happen is that's going to cause that conversation to end very quickly. That's going to be a rather contentious conversation. The walls are going to go up. Somebody's probably going to leave. There might be like slamming of hands or whatever. So it's going to be like, oh, I'm out of here. So think about the way that you want to approach a conversation such as politics, money. In this case, it's politics. So know that you're not going to convince somebody or change them. Second thing is, if you try and influence or think we're going to change somebody's political convictions or the conversation, that's not necessarily going to be what's going to happen. So we want to go into this conversation with an open mind, folks. Know that you might feel different than the person that you're talking to in regards to the political stance, but do understand the whys. And the whys are so important. As a matter of fact, I've been on the couch and I've been watching the news lately, and every time I hear somebody, I'm like, why? And I just want to know their whys rather than like getting into like a hostile conversation. Some of the things you could actually ask are what they think about A, B, or C. What are your thoughts about A, B, or C? How do you feel about A, B, or C? What are your concerns about this particular candidate? Why are these your concerns? And understand that once you start hearing their whys, once you start hearing and you let that guard down and you start listening to, okay, I understand, you might actually find that you might not be, going for the same team, but you might have similar values. And you might be like, you know what? We're actually in agreement here. We actually feel different here, or, we feel similar here in relation to, we're just kind of going for a different team. And that's okay that you go for that different team. That's okay that you have different beliefs. There are some healthy ways to approach a political conversation with someone that you love or that you're close to in a relationship without harshly criticizing one another or creating a division in that relationship. Many times, and I think we've talked about this before, Jen, we've seen like on Facebook or Instagram, where people will throw out their belief or their idea, a political idea, and then all of a sudden it snowballs and it gets into the situation where like, it's okay, unfriend me. I don't care. You've been friends for 10 years and all of a sudden you're at this point. It's like, okay, you can have this conversation, and it makes it, and here's the thing, especially about social media, it makes it so easy to throw that crap out there too.
Oh yeah.
It makes it so easy to say, I'm going to break up with you because I don't like your political stance. Now, if that's the case, you got to question if that was a relationship with a lot of value. Okay. You got to question if you're going to want to continue to put value into that relationship. And I know that we've all been there, but you can go into these conversations, and social media makes it really easy to cut people off. It makes it really easy to have these contentious kind of conversations because you're not right in front of somebody. Think as if you're right in front of somebody and how you value that relationship. You can have a difference of opinion. It's how you approach the relationship. It's how you approach the conversation. So we all have our own values and beliefs, and each of our beliefs can be tied with into emotion. But how we approach sensitive topics can actually grow and nurture relationships. It's also a great way to model, how you want to have further conversations, important conversations that have to do with values and beliefs. We grow up, and somebody threw out a question earlier on one of our other stations, or platforms, that, this is genetic. This is not genetic how we believe. It is cyclical. It is cyclical. It can become cyclical. We can learn things from our parents, our educators, our clergy, and what we need to, and I'm going to say this, and I say this over and over about our values and beliefs, take a step back and really take a deep dive into what you believe, because the walk that you want to walk is one that is congruent with your own personal values and beliefs. It's not somebody else's. It's not your parents. Not clergy. It's not that educator. It's, you can take pieces of, what you've been taught, but walk in congruence with your beliefs and values. Know what they are. know what they are, which makes these conversations easier. It also makes these conversations, going into these conversations and having an understanding of how you can enter into these conversations without immediately having the other person or other party put up walls.
Mm.
And I think that's really important, is to hear their whys, understand the community, understand, have some situational awareness about who you're talking to, and how you approach it. Because I go back to not the golden rule of how we want to be treated, but more along the lines of the platinum rule. And that platinum rule is, how do they want to be treated, right? How do somebody else want to be treated? And yet you made a good point last, when we were on our other platform too, Jen. There is a time and place also when you realize that you're completely out of alignment with somebody else's values and beliefs, that it's okay to say, all right, I might have to take a step back from this relationship, or I might have to reconstruct this relationship in a way that I have my own boundaries. And that's okay too. But at least you understand the whys. Give the relationship the opportunity and the conversation to understand the whys.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful way to end that. Yes. Oh my gosh. Especially in the climate that we've currently been in with the election. And it's so crazy. Like, I know you have friends in all over parts of the world.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, what does the United States look like to the rest of the world? And it's just massive craziness. And so this is so important for you to take what she's saying and apply it to yourself, go back to the roots and your values, because that's what's going to root you. That's what's going to help you evaluate, how do you navigate through these conversations, because some people are just crazy. And unfortunately, sometimes it's your own freaking family.
Oh my gosh. And I think it's easier. It's easier for us to become escalated with these people that we're close to, such as family or loved ones, because we know that they're going to be there, or they're going to be there all the time. And we take advantage of that, knowing that there are these factors that they're still there. They're still rooted with me. Yeah. They're still here, right? So, but we also want to be respectful of ourselves and of others. So understand whys, understand, have some situational awareness. And then also, I wanted to give a resource. There is a resource here that I looked at while I was doing some of my research about how to approach this. And Susan Heitler, she's a doctor of clinical psychology. She wrote The Power of Two: Secrets of a Strong and Loving Marriage. This doesn't have to do with just marriage, but it has to do with communication. Check it out if you're interested in having these types of conversations. And if, with relationships that are close and close-knit, check out this book. But let's go on, because we're actually over our time, 4 minutes. Let's talk about our nuggets of wisdom today, Jen.
Yeah. All right. So before we close out and say goodbye to you all till we meet again next week, my nugget of the day is simply to just have boundaries. I think sometimes we feel guilty and we feel like, oh, I can't do this. So-and-so's not going to like me. And I have to practice this myself, but I think we have to be reminded and given permission that it's okay to have boundaries. It's healthy. It's actually very healthy to have that boundary and know when, like, okay, you know what, again, like what Summer said, there's going to be people you cannot convince. Stop the madness. You cannot convince somebody else against their will and their philosophy and their upbringing, all their subconscious, whatever they're dealing with. And that's fine. But for you, the only thing that you can control is what is within your environment, what is within your reach. And so it's so important to establish that boundary to stay healthy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is. And that it's okay that you have to love from afar, especially when you're dealing with family members that have opposing political views in context of what she's answering today. But how about you, Summer? What is your nugget for the day?
Well, my nugget, and I do have to piggyback on what you said, yes, boundaries are so important, and respecting yourself and understanding what you value and valuing yourself. So part of my nugget is part of that as well, is don't let fear hold you back. Don't let fear ever hold you back in attaining a goal, or having a conversation or having your voice heard. Because many times I am on so many platforms. I read every day. You do too. We want to be in the know. We're constantly reading and constantly hearing other people's opinions. Here's the thing. Just because they have an opinion doesn't mean that yours isn't valued or isn't valuable. So make sure that you have the courage to achieve that goal. State your opinion. Have yourself be heard, because you never know if it's your voice that's going to resonate with somebody else. What you've said is going to resonate with somebody else. And there is my nugget for the day. Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
I love that. And it's so important for our, it's so important people hear that, especially for those of you who are content creators who show up on social media platforms. What she said is so, and I know we're over time, but this is so important. What she said is valuable, because a lot of us will either suffer from imposter syndrome or feel like, oh, nobody wants to hear this. That is absolutely not true. So take to heart what she said, because I think it's so powerful to propel you to just keep going and moving forward and to just really honor yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just catching the tail end of this Life, Love, and Money show, this episode, please go back to YouTube, watch the replay, watch the other episodes. There's so much good content. Share it with your friends. And again, join us every Thursday here, live. This is 30 minutes of free coaching. So please DM us with your questions. We want to hear from you. And again, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Jen. Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, The Life, Love, and Money Show on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Summer.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Dr. Summer Watson is the owner of the production and coaching company Core Women, LLC, is a doctor of psychology, has a depth of experience working in both for-profit and nonprofit in human services and mental health, is a professional coach, seminar host, documentary film producer, and an author. Jen Fontanilla is a former financial advisor and now a certified money coach, speaker, and has published 6 books. She has worked with organizations such as the Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Target, Goodwill, and the U.S. Air Force. She loves working with women and helps them master their money and mindset to empower them to build the ultimate life without worrying about money. Join Summer and Jen every week as they go live on the Life, Love, and Money Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn.